You're on.
So am I standing in the wrong place?
No, you're
Okay.
We'll give people a hi.
Yeah.
So this is what we came up with.
Oh, nice.
Kimberly kind of helped us work.
Yes.
You know, we told them that each week we wanted to address, and so once we finish this, we're going to have a regrouping of what did we do well.
Sure.
We're hoping that we
End of life issues, yes. She's speaking about, okay, she's doing advanced, you could get a funeral home representative too about that. I used to work for a funeral home, I used to do those things for a funeral home about pre-planning and aftercare. And I know, I worked for Langlands. I don't know who does for Langlands anymore. I don't think they have anybody specific. I called them and asked them, and then they have a director there, Jeremy Collins. He's very good and very passionate about helping people, and they had a nice. I teach an obituary writing class called Getting the Last Word. And I do that through Ollie, and I will do that again through next year. But if the church wanted me to come in and do this kind of a workshop, and actually, I've done it now. I think I'm on the 4th time, Ollie, because it's funny. I do that with humor, but it doesn't feel like that makes sense. It's your chance to get the last word. You don't have to be, if you have a specific way you'd like to be remembered, that's your turn. Oh, I'm like literally on?
Yes.
Okay, so I should start? Okay.
Okay,
I think that clock's slow.
oh, okay. So welcome everybody. I think we're going to go ahead and get started today. Mike reminded us that we are live streamed as well. So that's a very good thing that we've got people at home. If we're not able to come to our session today, we've got people at home that can also take advantage of this information. So I'd like to introduce our speaker for today, who is Lynn McFarlen, and she's from, guess what? Milestone Senior Services. And she is going to tell us all about the services that this wonderful organization has to offer. And I also want to point out, and she will probably point out too, you've got one of their booklets in your seat. And there are also back in that table more booklets, so if you want to take one for somebody who's not here today, that's fine, come grab one. Also on that table back there is a handout that maybe some of you have asked me about getting more of, and that is the checklist of things to consider if you are considering going into an assisted living facility, and that was presented by Kelly, if you remember, in our first session. If you did not get one of those, or if you would like some more of those brochures, they're back there. Thank you, Lynn, for coming in this cold, kind of dreary day in a early morning Sunday, where you probably could have slept in, but you're here.
My dogs never let me sleep in, so
Okay,
this
good.
actually is just fine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me for your elder care education series. There's so much to know, right? And it's hard to know where to start. It's kind of like every time I do this presentation, people say, I didn't know that, and I didn't know that, and I didn't know that. I'm like, well, because there's just a lot to know. So I'm going to get you started today, understanding a little bit more about what Milestone Senior Services can do to help you or a loved one or a neighbor stay in their home as long as possible. How many of you have heard of Milestone Senior Services before?
Okay.
How many of you have heard of Meals on Wheels? So that is our flagship program, Meals on Wheels. And when people haven't heard of Milestone per se, they have heard of Meals on Wheels. So that's kind of my way in to help you understand what we do. Meals on Wheels is a program that takes food to homebound people 60 years and older. And it's been around for years and years, like Milestone has been around for 60 years. But that's kind of, people know about Meals on Wheels, but they don't know about all of the other programs that we do. So we have been around since 1963. One of our founders, Helen Coover, noticed a need with her neighbors and friends and church members who were aging and weren't eating properly because they couldn't get out of their home. They couldn't stand long enough to prepare a meal. They were just having some kinds of those issues that some aging people have. So Helen Coover began feeding people out of her own home with her friends and her church members, and that is what became Meals on Wheels. So what we're going to talk about today, I'm a former high school art teacher, and I always think of Dr. Fisk from my education professor at Western, who always said, whenever you're doing anything educational, make a list of what you want people to get out of that day, so they'll know where you're going, and so they'll know where to end up. So this is my overview. Thank you, Dr. Fisk, about what we're going to do today. We're going to kind of do an overview of the agency. We're going to talk about all of our programs more specifically. Our nutrition program, which Meals on Wheels is one of them, but there are other nutrition programs. The waiver program, My Choice Waiver, a little bit more complicated. We'll get a little bit into that. Our behavioral health and wellness programs, which is one of those things you don't know about unless you need it, but I'll tell you what it is. Our home safety and repair program, we build ramps. We're very good at building ramps. We build over 100 a year. And we build interior ramps as well as exterior ramps. I will get into that also a little bit more detail. And then volunteer opportunities. One of the reasons we can do all that we do is because we really rely on our volunteers. Our volunteers deliver the Meals on Wheels. Our volunteers also will take pet food to Meals on Wheels recipients if they need it. Our volunteers help build ramps. And for those of you who really think that volunteering to build a ramp sounds like a great idea, you don't know how to use any tools. You don't have to know how to use them. If you can carry a piece of wood from one side of the yard to the next, we can use your help. So there's no level of experience that's necessary for that. And the volunteer opportunities, there's also something called In-Home Companion. And that is for our most aged folks who can't leave their home. We do have a senior companion program where we partner them up with another person who does a weekly, a daily phone call, stop by, just time together to help that person to help keep that person from feeling isolated. Isolation is a very big problem for aging people. If you can't leave your home, when are you going to see people? They have to come to you. And isolation breeds illness, actually, because you get depressed, and a depressed body allows for illness to happen more. So we'll get into that. We're going to talk about the Best of Care catalog, which you all have in your hand, and then we'll wrap up with questions. But if anybody has questions while I'm going, please feel free, throw your hand up there. Let me know what your question, your comment is. I welcome that. Learning is a group effort, and we're here today to learn. And if you have the question, I'm sure somebody else does too. So we are one of the leading providers. We have around 140 employees at Milestone, and those 140 employees are working on a myriad of programs to keep an aging person in their home. And that just gives you some background. I'm not going to read the slides to you right now. You can look at them. They're kind of small, so I know that some of these, like this one, and I knew you couldn't read it. So what I have, and I'm leaving it with Pastor Rachel, you will have 2 copies of this book here at the church after today. This is a compilation of all of our flyers per program, so you will be able to read it instead of just look at it like I know you can't see it from where it is. So this is a copy of what you see on the board, and I have copies of all of the pages in the PowerPoint, just so you can see what they look like, although I know you can't read them. This is a list, front and back, of all of our programs and what they do. That is in this program packet, so that you can borrow it, look at it, make copies from it, whatever. Yes, ma'am.
And we'll try to plan to put one in the library and one in Tamara's office. Tamara is collecting all the brochures from each session, so we'll have, we'll have two sets. Okay.
Yeah.
Available online.
These are not yet. That's a very good point. I'm actually in the process of updating these and doing a new version of it because the information changes so quickly. And when I do that new version, that one will be online. Yes, sir. Thank you for asking that. Although this packet is online, information about all of these programs is on our website. It's just not in the same format. And this is when when I show this, I see no one grabbing their phones and taking pictures of this. So when I speak to a group that's younger, everybody would grab their phone, right in the back here. He's already thinking it. He's got
I'm already on the website though. So.
Okay. So when I'm speaking to a group of our age, no phones come up, but it's there for those youngsters or the really savvy of older folks. But now here is a copy. It's kind of a map of what we do where. That is also in this book, and the reason I want to show that to you, you really can't see it, but Kalamazoo and Calhoun are where we do the majority of our programs. Because we are a nonprofit grant-funded agency, we are also federally funded and state-funded, but our grants are primarily serving Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties. We have our grants fund a lot of the ramp building, and grants fund a lot of our nutrition programs. And when you get a grant, grants are usually very specific about who can access that money. So when a grant is applied for, we say where that money is going to be used, and then we have to stay within that parameter. So mostly Kalamazoo and Calhoun counties, although those other surrounding counties, we can do the programs, but they're going to be private pay, which means if you are in Van Buren County and you need a ramp built, our grant does not pay for that for you, but we can work with you so that if you have the means, you can pay for it for yourself. Sometimes with veterans or church members, sometimes churches will have a fundraising event for someone who needs a ramp. These ramps run anywhere from $1,500 to $5,000. I mean, they can. It just depends. It depends on where the ramp is being built, on how large it needs to be. So it can be just kind of anything, and I can't tell you specifically what that is because it really depends upon where it's being installed. But this is a map to let you know kind of where our focus grant-wise is. Although we do programs in all of those counties. So our nutrition services, like I said before, Meals on Wheels is kind of our flagship program. Everybody's heard of that. Now, Meals on Wheels, and actually any of our programs, you don't have to be the recipient to the asking for the program. If you have a parent, if you have a sibling, if you have a neighbor, someone you know needs the service, you can call us on their behalf. And when you call us and ask us for a service, our intake specialists, we have 3 of them, they will ask you many questions to make sure you're getting what you need, how you need it. So if you are requesting a service on behalf of someone else, it would be really wise to be in the same room with that person so they can answer the questions they're going to be asked of you. So Meals on Wheels, 60 or older. We do sometimes have Meals on Wheels available for 55 through 59, but that's a different funding, and right now we've run out of that funding. That's one of those things where we do what we can depending upon the money that we're given through grants or federal or state funding, and we ran out of money for that younger than 60 crowd already. And right now the federal government is thinking about pulling back on the funding for Meals on Wheels too. So we're very concerned about that. If you are a politically minded person, talk to your congressman. Fund Meals on Wheels, because these people will not have food if we can't take it to them.
How do you determine who pays for it and who gets the first one or the second one?
If you are homebound 60 years or older, you can receive Meals on Wheels. If you can still get out of your home without assistance, you would be a paid meal delivery person. So, for example, I use my mom as an example. I have her permission. She's 86. We went on a color tour yesterday. Had a great time. She is not able to get Meals on Wheels because she is still driving. She's still very independent, still doing a lot of things on her own. But if, let's say, in January the weather gets really bad or she gets really sick, I mean, I will go to the store and get her food, but sometimes she doesn't ask me because she's kind of stubborn that way. And so I told her, I even told her this yesterday, Mom, if you ever need paid meal delivery, you can call Milestone and have that set up. I believe the meal is $9, but it's delivered for free. And it is made from scratch in our kitchens. Our kitchen staff gets there at 4 a.m. every morning to prepare these meals. And sometimes when they're low on hands, they ask the rest of the staff, we need people to come fill up the Meals on Wheels. And I've gone in there and as I've been dishing out, I had goulash and mashed potatoes and pickled cabbage, and it was like a dessert of some kind. As I was dishing it out, I was thinking, wow, this looks really good. And the lady said, go ahead and fix yourself one and take it for lunch later. So I did, and let me tell you, it was really good. I thought, well, now I can tell folks that this is really good food, nutritionally balanced. We work with the nutritionists to make sure that it is, because another problem with aging people is sometimes they don't eat well because they don't have the energy, or they're like, Mama's been talking a lot lately about how she just can't taste things as well as she used to be able to do. And that's kind of affecting how she eats, because she wants the salty stuff and the sweet stuff because she can taste it. But that's not necessarily good for someone who has a pacemaker like her and is told to keep off of salt, right? So there's issues that come up as we age that we try to help folks deal with. And the Meals on Wheels is something that we're known for. They're good meals, and the paid meal delivery or Meals on Wheels is a good option for a lot of people.
I want to go back to the age thing. So
Yes.
your ability to drive is one of the criteria that determines.
Yes.
So let's say you never drove your whole life and then you turn 60, then you become eligible, or you
Correct.
lose,
I guess
or you lose
technically,
the ability
yes.
to drive.
If you lose the ability to drive, the whole thing is 60 or older and unable to get yourself out of your home going anywhere.
I mean,
So
even
if
if
you
you
still
could
gotta-
take Metro Van, or you could take a
Yes.
cab, or you
Yes,
could
or if
take
you have a bicycle.
Uber,
Yes. Yes.
those you would still, you
Yes.
can't transport yourself.
Correct. I met a fellow in Battle Creek a couple weeks ago who is legally blind, and he takes the metro everywhere, but because he is still quite ambulatory and able to get himself places, his Meals on Wheels application was denied because he still can do a lot for
But he
himself.
knew how to use Metro. If you don't know how to use Metro, then you'd have to acquire that skill.
Right.
So
right.
it's kind of,
There's lots of
yeah.
those. yeah. So we do work with folks to make
It's
sure that we can.
basically people who lost independence.
Right.
Is what it's
Right.
trying to get at.
Right.
You've lost some independence.
Right, that's our whole mission, is to keep people in their home as long as possible, and food insecurity is a big issue with those folks who can't leave their homes. So Meals on Wheels addresses food insecurity for those people. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to know how do you determine the homebound? I mean, it's just a series of questions, right? It's kind of
Right.
an honor system as
Right,
far as
it
what
is.
you can.
It is.
So like in your mom's situation, maybe she doesn't need it when spring comes, but she needs it during the winter. Will they do it like
It can just be temporary.
it can be a temporary
Mhm.
thing?
Or if you've had an illness and you can't get out of the home, or if you've had surgery and you can't get out of your
Or you
home.
broke your leg and you can't drive.
Right. I mean, there are some issues with that are temporary, so you can get Meals on Wheels for a time, and then just say up front, I just need these until I'm back on my feet, and then we will reassess. There's an assessor who will, I believe they check in every month with everybody just to make sure they're still doing okay, make sure they're still happy with the meals, because also sometimes people have food issues that come up. I can't have fish. I can't have anything acidic. So we also can prepare meals that are what certain dietary restrictions need. So that's the stuff we need to know, and we do check in to make sure.
Like gluten free.
Do they do gluten free? I can't say yes, and I can't say no. I'm not sure. Yeah,
And all the meals are ready to heat up, like they can just put them in the microwave.
they're still warm. They get to you warm.
Okay.
We deliver between 10:30 and 1 o'clock every day, and we are drivers and hoppers. So if you're a driver, you're a driver. If you're a hopper, you're the person that hops out of the car to take the food up to the door, to the person. And that is, for some of these folks, that hopper is the only person they see all day. So it is a wellness check. It is giving them their food that they've requested for that day. And if the door is not answered, we make a call to see if you're somewhere in the home and didn't hear us at the door. If we still don't get a response, we call your contact person that we have listed in our paperwork to see if they know where you are or can get to you. And if we still don't know, we will call the police for a wellness check. So for some, and there have been a couple of cases where someone has fallen and has been unable to get up, and we have found them because their meal was being delivered and they just couldn't get to the door. Nobody knew that they were there. Another reason to get a PERS, which we'll talk about in a minute too. Great questions so far. This is awesome, everybody. Congregate dining program. That is a situation where we will take the meals to a congregate setting, congregation, right? Coming together, a group of people coming together. We have one here at Crossroads Village, Crossroads Village Apartments over off of Constitution Boulevard. They are a congregate meal site. So what we do is we bring the Meals on Wheels to that site so that folks who are receiving the Meals on Wheels can come together and eat in a group. Again, it's to prevent that feeling of isolation that some of our aging folks have to deal with. The congregate dining program sites, they are kind of all over the place. Ecumenical Senior Center is another one of those sites. And we want to grow that program, but we're limited because of funding. Again, there you go, right? We nonprofits, that's something that we struggle with all the time. So we're always looking for grants and funding to be able to do more of those. The restaurant dining program is only now in Kalamazoo County. It was going strong in Calhoun County, but it was so popular, we ran out of money to run it. So there you go again, right? But the restaurant dining program, there's no stipulation for this. If you're an aging person, if you would like to get coupons to go dine at a restaurant, now our 2 restaurants in Kalamazoo County are both in Vicksburg. So you would get the coupon to go to the restaurant, and that coupon allows you to order off of a limited menu and get your food. So it's just a great way, again, to get you out of the house. And if someone can bring you, because you can't drive, that's okay. Get out of the house, eat with others, be in a situation that's more social. So those are nutrition services. Sir?
How many meals do you do a day?
About 2,000.
Ah,
Yes.
Wow.
And if you think back to that map, every one of those counties on the map, let's see, Allegan County, we deliver meals to Allegan County Senior Service Agency, and they deliver for us. Same thing with, what Barrier Branch? Branch is the lower one?
Yeah.
Branch, same thing with Branch. Kalamazoo and Calhoun, we deliver to the homes ourselves. And then Van Buren County, that is also a meal delivery. We take them down to Vicksburg, and Vicksburg then distributes them for us. So there's lots of fingers and lots of pies.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Okay, there's the flyers. They're in there. You'll see them. It just kind of is when you have a flyer you can look at with all the details, it's going to really help you kind of understand the process probably a little bit better. And just some client testimonials. A couple of our ladies who receive meals. You can be in your own home, you can be in an apartment situation, you can be in a condo situation. Basically, wherever you are, we will get to you. One of the things I'll say about the Meals on Wheels too is we began a pet food component to Meals on Wheels program because some people were getting their Meals on Wheels food and feeding their pets. They weren't eating it themselves. But those of us who have dogs or cats that we love, like family, right? So these folks couldn't get out to get their cat or dog food, so they're just feeding their animal their Meals on Wheels food. So what we've done is we've started providing pet food for those folks. And we are working in concert with the Humane Society to do that. Because they get donations of food all the time and they need help distributing it. Well, we need to find the food because we've got the distribution part down. So we work with them. The only stipulation that they have is that the pet receiving the food needs to be spayed or neutered. If the pet is not spayed or neutered, we can help you take your pet to the Humane Society for a free spay or neuter. Some people decline to get their animal spayed or neutered. Then they can't receive the pet food, unfortunately, because that is one of those stipulations. Generations Catering, that's here because Generations Catering is an independent service inside of our agency that's a full-fledged catering business. The reason it's here is because it's the same kitchen, the same people preparing the food, but one component is preparing those Meals on Wheels, The other component is this catering business, weddings, anniversaries, birthday parties, graduations, anything a caterer does, we have the means to do it. We have an executive chef on staff, Ryan Thompson, who's amazing. Yes, sir.
If anybody came to the Disability Day event last year with the Synod that we hosted, Generations did the catering.
Yes. Oh, good.
It was really good.
Yeah, awesome. And when you hire Generations to do an event, the revenue generated goes back into our nutrition programs.
Part of why we chose them.
That's awesome, and that's why I think everybody should choose them. Because, you know, I've talked a little bit about how funding is being taken away from some of these programs, but Generations is in place to help us maintain some of that funding, so we can keep this program self-perpetuated. I hope. The food's really good. Their cannoli, no kidding, it's really good. When they make cannoli, I'm really hoping that there's extra so I can take them, but there rarely is. There you go. So no one's looking. I get it. So the My Choice Waiver Program is a program specifically for people at a nursing level home care need for them to stay in their own home. If you are on Medicaid and if you need nursing level home care, you can stay in your home through the My Choice Waiver Program. Now, it is only for Medicaid recipients.
So the meal program is not.
No, it's not.
There's no income for that.
It's age. It's age and ability to move.
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. Good, you're getting it straight. I can see it. Yeah. The My Choice Waiver Program, if you're not on Medicaid but you qualify for Medicaid, we can help you do that Medicaid process. I used to work in a funeral home, and I used to do a lot of Medicaid spend downs, in part so people could apply for this program. Because if you need that level of care and you want to stay in your own home and you're on Medicaid, this is a great way to stay in your home. You still get to keep your same doctors. You still get to keep all of the caregivers you have become familiar with and you like on this program. So this is going to be a nurse and a social worker that are going to help you do everyday stuff, hygiene stuff, some light housekeeping, food preparation, those kinds of daily activities that you no longer can do for yourself. A My Choice Waiver recipient gets help to do those so they can stay in their home. Because our mission at Milestone is to help people stay in their homes. There does come a time when you will need to leave your home perhaps, but we're going to do everything that we can to make sure that you are safe in your own spots where you feel happier, more at home, of course. My Choice Waiver is one of those programs where when you need it, and you need it right now. And we have a lot of our employees work at the My Choice Waiver Program because it's nurses and social workers, and they go to the homes. I hear them talking to people on the phone all the time, asking them the questions: can you bathe yourself? Can you prepare your own meals? Can you walk from the bathroom to your bedroom? Can you get out of bed? Can you get in and out of a chair? Some of the really simple everyday stuff that we take for granted that people can't do anymore. Those are My Choice Waiver folks. Okay, the flyers you can't see. There's now Carlicia is not older, obviously, but she is disabled. So if you are not an aging person, but you are a disabled person, we can also help you with some of our programs. So not only is it for older folks, but it's for Carlicia is only like, I don't know, 35 or something, but she has been in a wheelchair her entire life. So we do help her with daily chores, daily activities in her home, so she can stay independent. Now, the behavioral health
You didn't
services.
say anything about adult daycare.
Yes.
That's under waiver.
We don't do adult daycare. That you may be confusing us with PACE. PACE does do adult.
You fund adult daycare.
Through Western.
Yes.
Yes, through Western. Yes. Yeah. So that's another one of those My Choice Waiver things. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I forgot to mention that. For behavioral health services, if you are a person who has had a mental health issue, you're bipolar, you're schizophrenic, or some other long-term mental health issue, sometimes changes can be very upsetting. So we have programs to help those people kind of stay on track as life changes happen. As you age, you need to go into an assisted living place, let's say, for example. So the nursing facility monitoring program, once that person is determined to need to go into a facility, what we do is we work with the facility and that person to make sure that transition is as smooth as it can be. Because again, the change of environment can be very upsetting to someone who does have that, does have a mental illness. The OBRA on the bottom, the Omnibus Budget Reconciliation Act, that just basically means before you are admitted, we will use a criteria to make sure that you meet the criteria to be able to go into the home and to be able to still receive the services that you need for your mental health and stability. And then the top one, the Senior Behavioral Health and Wellness Program, that's just an ongoing access to mental and medical services. So we support the care, that we help coordinate the care, and chronic disease management. So we have, it's another, My Choice Waiver and the behavioral health staffs are the two biggest staffs because there are nurses and social workers in for every person.
Are you saying for behavioral health, that you don't provide treatment, but you will coordinate the treatment? You'll find a provider for us, like any caseworker, your caseworker would help connect you to treatment, therapy, or whatever it is you need for mental health.
We work with ISK, Integrated Services of Kalamazoo,
Yes.
Kalamazoo County Mental Health and Mental Services, and you start with ISK, and once ISK has determined that you need this level of care, then they refer you to us, and we take it from there.
What kind of, this is not behavioral mental health service. We provide
the services, but we don't do the initial intake.
So
Yes.
you have counselors on staff, therapists?
We have therapists, we have social workers.
Okay. So you have therapists, you deliver therapy.
We have social workers who can help with that. Yes.
Well, I'm trying to get at what the help is. Is it connecting you to a service or treating you?
Yes, it's both of those things.
Okay.
So we coordinate the care, education, post-acute care, chronic disease management. So we coordinate that with the social workers, the people who are in the nursing facility. We make sure that individual is getting that individual's level care that they need. So it depends completely on the individual, but there are nurses, there are therapists, there are social workers involved in all of that. Yeah, it's confusing. This one's confusing because there's a little bit of everybody in the pot. And then the nursing facility monitoring program, it ensures that folks who are in a nursing facility have that ongoing mental health care that they need once they are out of their home and in a facility. That's what that one does. Does that answer your question a little better?
Well, I'm trying to figure out, let's say I'm on, is this Medicaid dependent or is this everybody?
It's everybody.
Okay. So if I'm hooked up with your services and then my partner dies and I need grief counseling, you're going to deliver it or you're going to find someone to deliver it for me?
For grief counseling, we would find someone for you. I actually used to do that through a funeral home. But I know there are hospices that do grief support. There are churches that do grief support. So that's an example of
coordination.
Yes.
What is an example of treatment that you would provide? Mental health treatment.
We are going to, let's say we have an older person with a mental health issue who needs to go into a nursing facility. We are going to work with My Choice Waiver a lot to make sure that nursing level care is maintained as that person gets moved into a nursing facility. We know that they need mental health care because ISK has told us that they need it, that they qualify for it. So we're going to follow that person into the nursing facility, making sure they're getting the correct medications, making sure they're getting the correct.
But that's also coordination. You're not delivering it. I don't mean to be argumentative.
No, that's okay. It sounds like
Can I seek you as for treatment? You provide treatment.
You've gotta go to ISK.
Okay, and then
Right.
they'll decide if you're the right provider or
Right.
someone else is the
Right.
right provider.
Right.
And then you may deliver treatment.
Right. And if you have questions about that more specifically, if you would like to give me your name and your number, I can have our manager of that department call you, who can answer those questions more specifically better than I can. I'm a generalist. I know a little bit about a lot.
Yeah, gotcha.
I don't get into the weeds of every program, but I've been there for a year and a half, and I was on the board before that. So I don't know some of those nitty gritty little details like what you're asking about, but I know who does know
I'll let
it.
you move on.
Okay. So there's the more information. The home safety modifications, we talked about that a little bit already. We build ramps. We're very good at ramp building, as a matter of fact. You can see one on the top right with the resident there enjoying her freedom. So our mobility does change as we age. The lady on the bottom, that's my mom. So say hi to Nancy. There's Nancy. And she had a fall a year ago, and it looked like she'd been beaten with a pipe because she fell against a wall with her face, right? And it was, she had no bleeds, no broken bones. She was thankfully okay. It took her a minute to kind of recover, but she was okay. So that started the conversation with I've got 3 brothers and a sister. That started the conversation with all of us and her mom about, okay, Mom, we need to get you safer in your home, because she fell in her home tripping over a rug. And when you start getting a little tippier on your feet and you can't raise your legs as easily, throw rugs become a problem because your toe catches on them. And that's what created her fall. But because her hands were full, she didn't have anything to hold herself with. So she basically hit the corner of her kitchen wall, like right here. So I said, well, Mom, how about we get you a PERS, a personal emergency response system. You've probably seen them around the neck or around the wrist. So that if she had another fall, luckily my aunt was with her at the time, so I was called immediately. I'm the only one of the kids in town, so I'm the call. And we asked Mom, I said, Mom, if you fall again and you're by yourself and you can't get up, what would you do? Well, I guess I'd lie there until you came to check on me. Okay, well, that could be a day or two, all right? So we did get our safety modification team does do PERS installs. So that day, our tech, his name is Ken Ward, wonderful guy. He came over and he installed her personal emergency response system. Now, Mom has a pacemaker. So when we first put it around her neck, she goes, "Oh, that feels weird." I said, "Oh, it's a magnet. Okay, get it off the pacemaker. You don't want a magnet in your pacemaker." So she has the wrist, which she never takes off. And then she has the little GPS sign in a cradle constantly being charged, so that if she's leaving the home, she can take her GPS monitor with her and just drop it in her purse. So if she falls anywhere, she's going to have access to help right away, if she remembers to put it in her purse. But she had a second fall, and she didn't have it on her. But she was right in front of the fire station, so it worked out pretty well. So she had help immediately, and they were very, very wonderful men. And what kind of struck my funny bone was, she said, "Well, you better take me to the hospital or my daughter Lynn's going to get really upset with me." And she was right. And she was okay. Actually, the fall was less severe than the other one. But it just, it's just a good illustration for, there are some simple things you can do to keep yourself safer and still maintain your independence. So when the PERS unit was being installed in the home, I asked Ken, one of the things our safety team does is they can do a free home safety check. And I think it's got 44 points or something like, but they will walk around the home and they will just point out red flags. The throw rugs, they're going to ask you to get rid of them every time, because they are tripping hazards for a person who can't pick up their feet like they used to be able to. Bathrooms are a really big hazardous place because the floor gets wet and it's slippery and there's throw rugs. So you've got kind of a lot of things going on in a bathroom, and the counters always tend to be really sharp edged, right? So Ken walked into her bathroom. The first thing he said was, "You need a grab bar right there. And Mom said, "Well, I don't need that." And I said, I've been telling her for months that she needed this, right? But I'm just her daughter. What do I know? So Ken said, "Well, Nancy, we're trying to avoid the crisis. We don't want you to fall and then need to get one. We want you to have one so that you don't fall. because we don't want you to hurt yourself needlessly. And that's what our home safety modification team is all about. We can make your home safer before you have a crisis. And it's a free check. We just come over, we walk around, we point out hotspots and tell you what you might need. Now, we do have grant money for home safety modifications, and the grants are usually tied to geographical areas and income, or if you're a veteran. Veterans do have some separate ones too. Mom did not, she did not qualify, but she did a private pay. And again, because she private paid, the money, that revenue went back into the home safety modification program to perpetuate caring for others who don't have the income. So Mom felt really good about that. But all she needed was one grab bar. All we had to do to keep her safer was take up her rugs and put a grab bar up. And the other day I was teasing Mom about this a little bit, because like, yeah, Mom, Ken says it once and you get one. I say it over and over again and you totally ignore me. And so I asked her, so Mom, are you liking your grab bar? Are you finding it helpful? Oh, I use it every day. So, you know. One of the things that sometimes people don't think about are when you get in a walker and you are trying to get from your car, you're still mobile, you can still go do things, you just have your walker with you. Mom's about to get one, as a matter of fact. Sometimes your steps are this narrow, right? And you can't get a walker on those steps. So one of the things that we do a lot of is we do walker-friendly steps from a garage into a home. We do that quite a bit actually. So they're deeper and wide enough so you can put the walker on the step, then step up with your walker, and then so it's big enough for the entire walker to be safely grounded, so that you can get into the home. We do grab bars, railings. They'll do smoke alarms and other kind of real basic home safety modification things. But again, just having the tech come over and walk through the house and point things out. They know better than I do what somebody might need. So there's that. And there's Lynn, who loves her ramp. Another Lynn. Now the volunteer services at Milestone, we have some churches who volunteer en masse. And I don't know if you guys do here, but I know there's a couple of Portage churches that have one day a month when they do Meals on Wheels delivery. They just kind of work as a team. And I don't know if that's you guys or other folks. But the volunteer Meals on Wheels, those folks just, have angels' wings as far as I'm concerned, because those folks deliver meals to 15 routes every day of the week, Monday through Friday. AmeriCorps Seniors is for, if you're 55 or older, you can become an AmeriCorps senior volunteer, and you can actually get paid mileage for volunteering for another aging person, and you can actually get some stipend for volunteering to help another aging person. I do believe there is an income base for that, and if you would like to know more, I can connect you with the person that knows all the details. The companionship, I already talked about that phone call or that visit with someone, really important. And then transportation, we do provide a non-medical transportation. So somebody who needs to get to a doctor's appointment but can't take themselves, volunteers would help do that. That actually is a program we're really trying to grow. I think we have 8 people right now who volunteer to do that. We would love to see more, just because the need is growing. I'm sure you've probably heard the boomers. I'm a boomer. I'm the last year of the boomers, but the bell curve, we're not even at the top yet. So the aging population is increasing, so the need is going to increase. So we're trying to grow our volunteer base so that we can be sure that we can meet the needs that we know are coming. So Meals on Wheels is one of the things we can do. Drivers and hoppers, I already talked about that a little bit. The fellow here in this picture, 90 years old, still doing it almost every week he's still doing it. And here we have the Home Safety Project companionship. That's my mom again, using her purrs. And here's one of those walker steps I was talking about. They're deeper, they're wider, enough to accommodate a walker so you can go in and out of your home more safely. Yeah, so we took this picture, then I took it right off of her because you can't have that on. If you have a pacemaker, you need the wristband. And there's a picture of our pet support. You know, for some of these folks, their pet is the only one they talk to all day. You know, and we've got 2 dogs at our house. I know how important my dogs are to me. I can't imagine how important they must be to a person who can't leave their house, right? It's their only companionship. And 60 years and counting. We're 60 years in and hoping to go for another 60 years. We did a capital campaign that just ended. And I don't know if you know where we are. Does anyone know where we are down on Jasper Street downtown? Yeah, so our building is not very attractive, to say the least. It looks like a warehouse. So part of our capital fund campaign was so that we could recreate the front of our building to look like the welcoming, helpful place that we are, right? So this is what we're going to look like. So folks driving by are gonna go, well, there's senior services, I need to call them, or I need to just pull on over and see if somebody has time to talk to me right now. So we're going to have, this is the south end of the building, and if you find, you know where Crosstown Parkway is, you know the police station there on Crosstown Parkway? That is right over here. And then there's us, and then there's Bronson Hospital. So we're between the police station and Bronson Hospital, kind of right where we need to be, right? Because there's those, if anybody knows where the needs are, it's those 2 entities, right? So this is the Meals on Wheels. We're creating an awning, so those folks are not loading their cars up in the elements like they have been. If it's raining, if it's snowing, whatever it's doing, they're in it, loading up their cars to take meals to people who need it. Our home safety folks, they have an outdoor facility right now. They are also building ramps in the rain and the snow and all those things. So part of the facelift is a pole building so that our home repair folks have an indoor facility to be able to build and maintain what they're doing for folks in the home safety modification program. Yes, ma'am.
So I have a question about, so if you are, say, a married couple, older, both living at home, and one person is homebound and not able to, get out, but the other person is, how is that viewed? Because sometimes the person that's homebound also is the person that maybe used to make the meals, or, or maybe, there's cognitive issues, whatever.
Oh, sure.
Just trying to figure out how that plays in.
You could get Meals on Wheels for a person like that. You can also get waiver for that person if they're at that level of need. You can do both of those things. Yeah. So if you wanted to get more specific into the details of that, I would just suggest you call the number, the Best of Care catalogs, which is the last thing I'm talking about. We put this out every year. This is the latest edition. I'm in charge of these. It was a headache, trust and believe. It's 100 pages, and I thought I was going to pull my hair out. But this is a directory of Southwest Michigan services and agencies for aging adults. The insert is all about us, right here. But the phone number right there is what you would call anybody who has questions. If you want to know more about the behavioral health stuff, if you want to know more about Meals on Wheels, or if you want to call and sign someone up for any service, this is the number that you would call. And you would get our customer service ladies, and they would ask a lot of questions and then steer you in the direction that you need to go to get the help you're looking for. But this directory right here is updated every year. This is the 26th edition. We've been doing it for a little while. So it does not include every single business that does services for aging people, because you get a free listing in here and not everybody jumps on that bandwagon, but it's got a lot of really good resources.
I have a question about the in-home, what you talked about, when you talked about Medicaid people.
Yes.
Is there a price, if you go online, is there prices for people who aren't Medicaid but can get these services?
That would be a private agency then that you would hire. If you're not on Medicaid but need that level of home care, and there's no way you could be on Medicaid, then you would go to a private
So you guys
agency.
don't do it but charge?
We don't. We used to, but we had trouble staffing it.
So you'd have.
So we had to let it go. But we do know, we do refer people to a list of in-home care agencies that we know you can trust. We have 3 or 4 on our list that we would refer you to. You can do the call. Yes.
You may not do this. My first question will be, do you do this, and if not, do you know who does do it? Is there a service that would, not transportation, but assist people with doctor's appointments, like be a facilitator, like take notes and correspond with the adult kids and ask the questions? And
If you're on My Choice waiver, your social worker or nurse would help with that. If you're a
go
waiver
to your
person.
appointment with you?
If you're a waiver person,
Really?
I believe
Awesome.
so. I
Okay.
think you need to call us so we can
Okay.
give you some of those specific answers. Sounds like you have some specific things.
No, I just
Yeah.
wondered what that program might be called. Is that like, I've heard it called concierge services or?
Yeah, and we don't do we do not do in-home private care anymore. But like I was saying earlier, we can point you in directions of others.
Okay.
What's up? Yes, ma'am.
The last thing I just wanted to ask was, I didn't really hear you talk about caregiver support at all, and I was just curious because, like, back in my example of, like, say, a couple living together,
Sure.
you know, one needs more help than the other, and so even though the other person's very
Yeah.
capable, it's a lot of work, right?
It is,
And
it's
it can
hard,
be, and
yeah.
so what you really want to do is support that person as much as possible
Right.
so that they can continue to provide care and both of them stay in their home and enjoy that
Yeah,
part of their
yeah.
life together, right?
Yeah, that respite care, that's one of the things that Western Adult Day does.
Okay.
Also they're in town, it's our competitor, but I mean we're all in this together, right? There's the PACE program that is, it's different. They provide some of the same stuff that we do, but they choose your doctors, they choose who you see and who. But they have adult day services through them. So we do all the same stuff, just in a different way. So if you're looking for someone to help care for these people, I would say talk to Milestone and talk to PACE and see who fits you better.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Do you have any other
Sir?
questions?
We do up here. Yes, sir?
Yeah, as one who spent most of his life working for not-for-profit agencies, I heard you mention funding several times.
Yes.
Struggle of my life, okay?
Yep.
All I can say to everyone here is, if you think this stuff is important, be careful who you vote for.
Amen, brother. Yep.
You've got state
Yes.
officials, you've got federal officials, you've got people out there who are now hunting for ways to cut budgets, and they always cut them on the poor. So
They're
be
looking to cut,
aware.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And if that's what you want, vote that way. If that's not what you want, don't vote that
And
way.
pay attention to the little printing, the little print. The veterans are up for a millage. And I just put a sign up in my yard this morning, matter of fact, to vote yes for the vets. And all they're asking for is $10 a year more in taxes, right? To help veterans pay, right, the local agency that has been working for veterans runs out of money every year. And they have to go back to the council and ask for more. So I think, I didn't tell my husband I was doing this, but I put the sign up in my yard, so hopefully he agrees. If he doesn't, he'll ask, and then he'll say, okay, whatever. But it's, you're exactly right. And there's actually a law on the book stating that 10% of our, 1 mil of our taxes is supposed to go to veterans, but they don't use the law. They're asking for it separately in a separate millage. So there's lots of weird stuff going on behind the scenes of those things. Yeah, vote your conscience. Vote what you know feels important.
And the worst thing is a lot of this is done in the name of Christianity, which really fries me.
Yeah, don't get me started. My dad was a Presbyterian pastor, and I'm not sure how close Lutherans and Presbyterians are, but it doesn't matter. It's all one God, right? So, yeah, I mean, I was brought up kind of paying attention to it, and there's a lot of inequity, and the way we can help support those folks is to put people in office who feel like we do. not to be political or anything.
Any other questions? Well, let's thank Lynn, because she did it.
Thank you for having me.
Lots and lots of information.
Lots of information. And
Yeah.
if you need an extra, if you know somebody who could benefit from having a Besta Care, there's a box of them back there. Feel free to take an extra one. And these, the spiral bound program packets will be available too. So, and I do have my business card back there and my email up there. So if you want to grab one of my business cards, feel free to do that.
And I have my email up here, so if there are topics that you think we've missed, please be sure and let me know. If there are things you don't like about what we're doing, let me know, because we still have a few more sessions and we can make changes. I also want to let you know that Shauna Brown was supposed to speak next Sunday, and she has really grave things going on in her life, and so we are going to have different speakers on the same topic, and I can't tell you who yet because we're still trying to get everybody worked around. But please keep her in your prayers because she's got some really big things that she's dealing with. So thank you again, Lynn.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
And thank you guys for coming. Well, there was supposed to be when are they going to do it? As soon as we can. Well, we know when and also put it in the 130 or whatever it's called. Okay, I'm so sorry. That's okay. Sure. Yeah. What?
Well, that's in my mind, that was a doctor's presentation too. I loved it.
Oh my goodness.
Mid-
Oh my goodness. Small world, isn't it?
Become a teacher.
Well, the first question he had for my class was, "Do you argue?" I myself have my hand up because we're gonna have problems. You artists, you think there's no rules, you think there's, you know, like, okay, great start to this class, but I learned a lot from him. And like you saw today, I still use some of the. What did you teach?
I taught middle school science.
Oh, which school? Where's that place? I taught high school art at Hackett. I was at Hackett for 20 years. Yeah, so the really nice kids, loved my job. They ran out of money. It's been the story of my life, right? So they had to outsource my position like public and then I was out there as a 20-year veteran teacher looking for a job. So no, you don't get hired within 20 years.
It's funded by two
Oh, yeah.
there.
Yeah, so they get the same.
I'm glad we were there.
Well, I think when I never come back to 25 kids or so, I know it's really, I know it's really low. Especially
Yes.
It is what it is. Figure it out as we go.
It's okay. So, yeah.
That's what he was meant. You can do that. That's what it is for. When you like did all that petty pushing in your early life, it was just for these things.
Well, I've got a 16-year-old boy.
Oh my gosh. Well,
So I'm gonna.
you better take what you want
Before I show it to him, absolutely. Oh, this is beautiful. Thank you. I appreciate that so much, Lynn. It's nice. My pleasure. Oh yeah, a lot, right? Your head's spinning.
I don't know what it was called.
Personal emergency response system.
Are those available to seniors at a certain age?
Oh, for anybody who wants one. If you fear that you might fall and you would not be able to get up and get help, And then you can get them. And there's lots of places that are great.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Yeah.
she probably more likely wear the bracelet.
Well, that's, yeah, my mom wears the bracelet and, she never takes it off. It's in the shower with her. Never goes off.
Would we contact
You can contact Milestone Sister Services. We have, there's a couple different ways you can do it. Just call and say, I'd like to get, the bracelet or the necklace. They'll notify you with hers. And they'll, what the intake ladies will do is they will refer you to our home safety modification team.
Okay.
The coordinator, her name is Maria. She's wonderful. She's really nice. Everybody at Milestone is really nice. I mean, you're in a business like that for a reason, right?
Right.
So she would talk to you about what you need, what your situation is, and kind of help you get set up with what you want.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Thanks for doing this program.
Oh, well, you know, there's people, every year we set up meetings with
Sure.
saying,
I remember talking to my pastor cousin saying,
and they say yes or no.
it's so hard to know how to navigate
And then
everything.
like some people
It's
find
so
out they're not,
there's
everyone
a lot of
sends
us
an email
in this
Lynn, I want to
position.
call it the blue list.
There you go, you're right. They're older, they're younger, but we're in the middle. That's right. So, it's great.
You want to be giving me a call or an email or something.
I'll see you in there, Sandy.
And then if you want to advertise, that's somebody different. And actually that will paid for.
Thank you, this is really great.
So the, yeah, so the.
We're looking forward to having the next few, cause I think they'll be very good.
Oh, good.
But thank you for coming, I really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
That was so interesting.
I'm so glad she missed
I don't.
They should. I'm wondering if they need people to help write more grants.
So
As
that
Meals
is-
on Wheels
that
is-
directory is,
Well,
you know,
I've always
I'm
heard
gonna start to
that,
investigate
it's
this
just
thing.
groups
You know,
food
this
and
means
it's
you
really
know, there's a
bad.
list
I mean, that's what I've heard all these
And these
years.
can have hoppers. When I did it, we didn't have any hoppers, okay? And so
Yeah, so.
I turned it off and ran up and then came back down and stuff like
Those
that.
are really good.
It's a great, they really thought this through.
Well, I'm gonna go down and go there and see if I can volunteer to do something there. Cause I think this is amazing. That if we just could find some way to find, proper caregivers that can come to the home and be, like, I was fortunate, I did have some good caregivers for my mom, but if one left, trying to replace someone.
Oh, I
It's
know.
almost impossible.
My grandma had, you know.
Well, and people like us, I mean, we used to be senior services.
Yeah,
Now we're
This and
Milestone.
that, and I mean,
So
It's
yeah.
just terrible, and like my friend
Yeah,
across the street
you do
from
kind of have
mom
to
is
keep on the ball.
starting
unfortunately.
the place where my mom was, and so she has her there, and she has to take care of her 24/7, and I said, you need a break. You know, it's hard enough watching your mom
Yeah.
deteriorate, but to have to be a caregiver can really destroy you. So
Hi.
yeah, I wanna come down and see if there's anything I can do to volunteer there, maybe I can do a little something, even though I'm old.
You're not old.
You're not old.
Yeah, my mom just turned 86. I said, "Gosh, mom, you're getting old." And I was teasing her.
So,
She goes, "Yeah, I'm
here's
finally
the
getting
deal.
old."
But yeah, it takes a while
Old
to get
is
old.
30 years older than me,
Yeah.
so.
I always think old is 10 years.
It's on a
and then
sliding
I get there real
basis, so,
quick and
yeah.
then I bump it up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, 60 is the new 50.
Yeah.
I just turned 61. So
Uh-huh.
60 is absolutely the new 50. And when I was turning 60, I told my husband, you know, I don't know what I'm supposed to feel like turning 60, but I don't think I feel it.
Yeah.
I still feel very vibrant.
When
I
they-
still feel like there's a lot.
Would they really say it's just a number? It really is.
It really
'cause they're
is.
different for every single person.
Absolutely.
Because I'm 75, and I'm thinking, you know, I can still do quite a few things. You know,
Yes,
I'm a
absolutely.
little slower, but I thought I remember when I thought if somebody made it to 50 or 60,
Yeah.
well, why are they so upset they're dying? They've had a good life. And I
Yeah.
was probably 20
I know.
then.
No, I
And
know.
I think, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm gonna sneak and grab that
Okay.
camera, cause
Okay.
Michael.
Well, and when you call the number,
Okay.
it would do better for you to call rather than just pop in.
Okay, I'll do that. The
Because that
number that's
way-
by the Jasper Street?
Yes.
Okay.
So call that 382 number, 51-0515, and let them know that you want to volunteer. And what they're going to do is they're going to send you to a woman named Lauren.